Well, students, we are in the process of developing a discrete time pricing model for options. In this, we have considered a finance market, which is denoted by BS, where S is a triple of risky assets and B is a scalar of risk-free assets. Remember, when we talk about the trading strategies, we consider the portfolio in the form phi comma theta, where phi corresponds to the number of units held in the risk-free asset and theta is correspondingly the vector that whose components correspond to the number of units held in the corresponding risky asset. Then we have defined what is called the trading strategy. The trading strategy is a process of portfolios denoted by pi k, where k corresponds to the discrete times at which these portfolios are built. Say if there are n such discrete times considered, then each pi k is a portfolio that is built at the time tk. And then we have also seen the value of the portfolio. The value of the portfolio is defined by theta phi k times bk, where phi k is the number of units in the riskless asset in the portfolio pi k, and the corresponding price of the asset is denoted by bk plus theta k. This is the vector corresponding to the portfolio pi k dot the corresponding vector that that denotes the price of the asset. This generally we denote by bk K in short. So this is what in the last class we have done. Today we will introduce what is called the discount market. What it means is instead of considering the assets as it is, you do some kind of normalized asset. Okay, that is why this discounted finance market is also called normalized finance market. So some normalization parameter has to be used. So in our case, we can use the risk-free asset itself as the normalization parameter. You consider the process of the risk-free asset with the condition that bk is strictly greater than 0. What are bk's? Bk's are the price of the risk-free asset at the time tk, right? Now, at each time tk, the corresponding risky asset prices can be normalized like this, and we denote it by sk tilde, which is sk divided by bk. And similarly, you will also normalize the risk-free asset. In that sense, your finance market can be written as 1 comma s tilde k, right? Because you are just imagine that you are dividing this entire vector by the first component. Okay, therefore the first component becomes 1 and all other components are divided by that first component. Therefore the finance market looks like this, and this is what is called the discount finance market. Discounted finance market it is. So the corresponding price is also divided by the corresponding price of the risk-free asset. That is exactly the meaning. This is just a notation. Okay, at the market level, it is just a notation. At the price level, you are numerically dividing each component of that vector by bk. Okay, so this is what is it means. With respect to the discount market, the value of the portfolio also can be written in terms of the price of the normalized assets, and therefore the normalized value process or discounted value process is defined as phi k into bk, but this bk is actually 1 here, therefore you don't write that, plus theta k dot, now instead of sk you have sk tilde, the discounted price of the risky assets, and this the process is called the discounted value process, and the process bk, which is used as the normalization process, is generally called the numerator. The next definition is self-finance strategy. A strategy is called a self-finance strategy if this equation holds. That is, the value of the portfolio pi k at the time of tk is equal to the value of the portfolio pi k plus 1 at the time of tk. And this should hold for all k equal to 1 to up to n minus 1. What it means, let us try to understand. If you recall, your entire time period is partitioned into T0, T1, like that, up Tk minus 1, Tk, Tk plus 1, and so on till Tn, where Tn is nothing but the expiration date, and T0 is nothing but your time at which you have started your option. Now, at each time, we have the portfolio like this, pi 1, pi 2, like that it goes on. You create pi k at tk minus 1 and you hold it till this period. So, till this period, what you hold is called pi k, and the value of that pi k is obtained at tk and it is denoted by vk. This is what we are doing so far. And now, how you are deciding that this process, that is the process consisting of these portfolios up to Tn minus 1 that you have created pi n, right? So this is the process you have, which is called trading strategy. Now, when will you call that this trading strategy as self-finance strategy? If your value of pi k at this point, right? Value of pi k at this point, which is precisely your vk. Therefore, this is precisely your vk, which is coming from your value process. Okay. But this is something different. Okay, it's not a part of your value process. What you are doing is when you create your pi k plus 1, right, that will be created at tk and that is held in the period tk to tk plus 1. At this point, once you create your portfolio at pi k plus 1, you find this quantity, value of pi k plus 1 at tk. Okay, so this is the invested amount in pi k plus 1, right? And this is the value of pi k. If you recall, this invested amount concept we have also defined at the initial level. This is v of pi 1. Okay, something like if you just take k equal to 0, you will have this same idea. V of pi 1 of T naught. Okay, that is also called the initial investment, right? Here the invested amount in pi k, that is at t equal to tk. This is invested amount at t equal to t naught, that is initial investment. So try to understand the difference between the value process and the investment process. The investment process is the value of the portfolio at the time of creating it, whereas value process is the value of the portfolio at the time of closing it. Okay, so if these two are equal, it means you close the portfolio pi k, use the same money and make the next portfolio pi k plus 1. Okay, it means what? If these two are equal, it means you are not bringing any money freshly into the system, or you are not taking the money out of the system. Whatever money was kept in this strategy, that has been used exactly to create the next level of the process. That is why it is called a self-financing strategy. The self-finance strategy equation can be written as, I will give you the explicit way of writing. It is phi k bk plus theta k dot sk. That is the value of the portfolio pi k. That should be equal to initial investment made in the portfolio pi k plus 1, which is at tk, right? So therefore it should be pi k plus 1. At that time, the price was bk only, plus theta k plus 1. At that time, the price was sk for the risky assets, right? So this can be written as phi k plus 1 minus phi k bk plus theta k plus 1 minus theta k dot sk equal to 0, right? Now let us introduce a notation. Delta phi k is equal to phi k plus 1 minus phi k, and delta theta k is equal to theta k plus 1 minus theta k. So if you use these notations, we can write the above equation as delta phi k bk plus delta theta k dot sk equal to 0. This is another way of writing the equation for self-finance strategy. If the market is a discounted financial market, the above equation can be written as delta phi k plus delta theta k dot sk tilde, the discounted price of the risky asset is equal to 0. So that is the self-finance strategy equation in a discounted financial market. There are two important results that needs to be established at this point of time. However, they are very simple. They involve straightforward calculations. Therefore, I leave these two results as exercise to you. You can get the statements of these results from the notes. I have stated them as problems. The next definition of our interest is replicative strategy. So to define replicative strategy, we first need to understand what is meant by attainable option. An option is said to be attainable or also called reachable if there exists a self-finance trading strategy whose value process satisfies this equation, where HT is the payoff of the option and N, as usual, is the number of partitions. And what is V? V is nothing but the value of the portfolio at the time capital T. That is, Vn is nothing but V of pi n, right? Which was created at the time level Tn minus 1. And now we are finding its value at Tn. That is, the value of the final portfolio of the process should coincide with the payoff of the option. Then such an option is called the attainable option. That means if you should be able to construct a self-finance strategy such that this equation should hold. Now coming to the replicative strategy, a trading strategy that makes the option attainable is called a replicative strategy. That is, again, you see, you have option in hand. When will you say that that option is attainable? If you can find a self-finance trading strategy such that this equation holds, right? And in that case, the corresponding self-finance trading strategy is actually called a replicative strategy. It's also called a hedging strategy. Also in the market, if every option is attainable, then we call that market as a complete market. It means you give me a market in which I pick up any option, then I should be able to generate a replicative strategy for that option in that market. Such a market is called the complete market. So far, we have collected all the basic notions which are needed for us to develop a discrete time option pricing model. Let us now get into developing the model itself. To start with, we will start with a single step model. It means we will take the number of partitions in our discrete time model as 1. That is, n is equal to 1. It means you have just 2 points in your partition, T0, which is your initial time, and T1, which is the expiration time, right? So once we understand the model in this simple case, then we can extend it to multi-step models. The derivation of the model consists of two steps. In fact, it is not only for n equal to 1. In general also, we do the model in two steps. The first step is to construct a replicative strategy. If you recall, this strategy means you should be able to construct a strategy such that the condition Vn, in this case it is V1, should be equal to the payoff from the option, right? So if you recall, that is nothing but maximum of 0 comma st minus k if it is a call, and maximum of 0 comma k minus st if it is put option, right? So generally we call this as ct if it is European, and this as pte. Since we are going to discuss the model as a general case, not specifically to call or put, we have used a notation HT. So this H stands for hedging. Okay, so that is where the motivation for H is coming. The second step of our construction involves matching the initial investment. That is the amount spent in setting up the replicative portfolio at time t equal to 0 should be taken as an option premium. Okay, ultimately our aim is to see what is the premium that we need to pay for an option. That is the ultimate aim of this pricing model. So how we get that price is by matching the initial investment with the option price. Okay, we will prove that the initial investment of your replicative strategy should be equal to the price that you need to pay for that option. Okay, otherwise there will be a arbitrage opportunity occurs in the market. Therefore, you have to assume that the market that you are considering is no arbitrage market. Then you get this pricing model. Let us see in detail. Let us first restrict to European options. Recall that we have taken n is equal to 1. Therefore, our partition is given by script t1, which is equal to t0 and t1. And the initial price of our risky asset is denoted by S0. So we assume that we have only one asset in the risky category, and of course we always have only one riskless asset, and you have S0 and the value of S1, this is at t equal to T0. The value of S1 is either S0U or S0D, that is at t equal to T1. And we assume that U and D are such that your S0 into 1 plus R will be less than S0 into U. So it means we assume the condition that 0 less than D less than 1 plus R is less than U, where R is the prevailing interest rate. You can prove that if you don't assume this, then in this setup you have a arbitrage opportunity. I'll leave it to you to prove this. Therefore, this is actually a form of no arbitrage condition. Let us now go to construct the replicative portfolio. Remember, at time t equal to t0, we have to construct a portfolio pi 1, right? So that will have a component pi 1 comma theta 1, and correspondingly you have the price of the riskless asset is also denoted by this B0, and the price of the risky asset is denoted by S0. Note that I am not using the discounted finance market. Now if you recall, we need to construct pi 1 such that the replicative portfolio or strategy condition is satisfied. What is that condition? The value of the portfolio at t is equal to 1 is nothing but the payoff of the option, of course, at time t equal to capital T, right? So what is the value of the portfolio? If you recall, it is nothing but phi 1 into b1 plus theta 1 into S1. That will be equal to HT. Now S1 has two possibilities. You remember S1 is taken to be S0 into U if the stock moves upward, and S1 is equal to S0 into D if the stock moves downward. Therefore, this S1 is having two possibilities, and since HT is also defined in terms of S1, therefore this H also has two possibilities. Let S1 is equal to S0 U if upward direction happens, and S0 into D if the downward movement happens. Okay, if you recall, it was S1 equal to this and S1 is equal to this. This is the outcome of the first stage, right? And correspondingly, you have HT, which I will denote as HTU if S1 is U and HDT if S1 is D. So if you use these two possibilities in the replicative strategy equation, we get phi1 B1. What is B1? B1 is nothing but B0 into 1 plus R. What is 1 plus R? Prevailing interest rate. Well, we will take it as per period. Remember, you have to be careful with how we take R. Okay, I'm just taking it as per period just to have a convenient notation here. Otherwise, you have to divide by the frequency. Okay, you have to be careful in handling this term. I'm taking R to be per period interest in order to just simply write it as R here. Okay, if in the question it is given quarterly compounded and or anything, then you have to accordingly put. If it is continuously compounded, you know it how it has to be and so on, right? So here I'm just taking it as the discrete compounding, and R is per period interest rate, therefore it is only 1 plus R. So here phi 1 B1, therefore it is written as B0 into 1 plus R plus theta 1 into, there are two cases for S1. If the first case occurs, that is S1, the small S1 is equal to U, then I have S0 U, and that is equal to HT U. You know how to write it if it is a call option and put option. Remember, if it is a call option, it is max of 0 comma ST. Here it is S1, that is nothing but S0 U minus K for call. And similarly for put, it is the other way, K minus S0 U. Okay. And similarly, the same condition, if the second outcome happens, then I have phi1 B0 into 1 plus R plus theta 1 S0 D, and that is equal to HDT. Again, you know what it is. If it is a call option, you have, it is maximum of 0 comma S0 D minus K for a call option, and if it is put the other way around. So you know that. You can see that you got a system of equations. So the system has two equations. And what are the unknowns here? Remember, B0 is given to you, therefore you know this. S0 is given to you, therefore one of these two will happen. Of course, we don't know at t equal to 0, but you know that one of these two only will happen. What are the unknowns? The unknowns are phi1 and theta 1. So you have to choose phi1 and theta 1 in such a way that your portfolio makes a replicative strategy. That is, it has to satisfy this condition. Your portfolio has to satisfy this condition. Therefore, you have to find your phi1 and theta 1 in such a way that this system is satisfied. So you can clearly see that system has a unique solution thanks to our no arbitrage condition given here, right? So this condition ensures that this system has a unique solution. Why it is so? You can see that the determinant of the system is non-zero because of this condition. Therefore, you can always solve this system and get the value for phi1 and theta 1. How is it given? You can just solve it and see. I will give you the final expression. Phi1 is given by UHT D minus DHT U divided by B naught into 1 plus R into U minus D, and theta 1 is given by HT U minus HTD divided by S naught into U minus D. So this is the solution of the linear system. Therefore, if you choose the number of units in the risky and risk-free assets as per this expression for a given U, D and R, then you are landing up with a replicative strategy. That's what is aimed at, and we have constructed such a replicative strategy. Remember that our first step for the pricing model is to construct a replicative strategy that we have constructed. Here, strategy consists of only one portfolio because there's only one time step. Therefore, there's only one portfolio in the entire process of this strategy. Next, let us go to the second step where we will match the initial investment with the price of the option. That is, the initial investment is denoted by V naught that we will take as the price of the option, which generally we denote by H naught. In particular, if it is a call option, we denote it by CE naught and P E naught if it is a put option. If it is American style, you know PCA naught and PA naught. In general, we will use the notation H naught. So this is how we will choose our price of the option at t is equal to 0. It is precisely the initial investment needed to set up our replicative portfolio. Pi 1, which is given by phi1 comma theta 1. What is phi1 and theta 1? We have the expressions for them once we are given R, S naught, U and D, right? And also the value of B naught. So there are two questions now. First question is how this V naught looks like. Of course, we know its formula, but you can put it in a more nice way by substituting the expressions for phi1 and theta 1, right? We now have these expressions in order to make this pi 1 as a replicative strategy. So you can put that and see precisely how this V naught looks like. Then the next question is, why should I choose my option in this way? Okay, these two things are needed to be done. Let us take the first task, that is, we will substitute phi1 and theta 1 into V naught and see how it looks like. Recall, we have V naught by definition is the value of pi 1 at t equal to t naught. Okay, so the value of phi 1 is phi1 B naught because the value at t equal to t naught. Therefore, the price of the risk-free asset is B naught plus theta 1 into the price of the risky asset at t equal to t naught. Now, we know how phi 1 and theta 1 should look like in order to make this portfolio a replicative portfolio. So, substitute that expression. You have UHTD minus D HUT divided by B naught into 1 plus R into U minus D. That is your phi 1 times B naught plus take the expression for theta naught, that is given by HUT minus HDT divided by S naught into U minus D, and that is multiplied with S naught. So this is how you can put V naught. Now you can simplify it and you can get it in a nice form. As I leave it to you to do this simplification, you can bring it to HUT divided by 1 plus R times P star plus HDT divided by 1 plus R times 1 minus P star. Now what I will do is I will call this as E star of HT star. This is a notation I will use where HT star is nothing but the present value of the payoff. You can see that 1 by 1 plus R in this case is the discount factor. Your HT is the payoff which is happening at time t equal to capital T, which can be HTD or HTU depending on whether the stock goes down or up respectively. That value divided by this is nothing but the present value of the payoff. That is what is denoted by HT star. And you can see that the HT star, if you take it as a random variable with the probability being P star for HTU, then you will see that this is precisely the expectation of that random variable HT star. That is why I am just suggesting this notation. It is not just a notation, it has a mathematical reason behind. Okay, so this is what we are having as V naught. Therefore, V naught is E star of H star T, where P star is given by 1 plus R minus D divided by U minus D. Okay, you can recognize this. What is this? This is nothing but the risk neutral probability, right? When you simplify this expression, you get this expression with P star being this. You will see that whatever expression comes can be obtained as 1 minus P star here. So therefore, you can write your V naught in this way. Star here for the expectation is to indicate that the corresponding probability used was the risk neutral probability.